Hey everybody, it is CRX Weekly here, and today I am going to be discussing the history of my car, all the way up until it gets, to 390,000 miles. But before I begin, I just want to give you a friendly reminder. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, whatever it is YouTube does nowadays. Make sure to like our Facebook at, again, CRX Weekly. And I am currently working on a website, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, let's begin. So, originally, my father bought this car back in 1989. This was back when he lived in Atlanta, Georgia. And shortly after buying it, he took a road trip down to Florida, all the way from Atlanta. Back in that day, that Honda dealer, would install the stereos in their cars. So they would have installed the stock stereo in this car back in 1989. But according to my father, they would charge an outrageous fee. At the time, he was installing car stereos for a living. So he thought, screw paying that outrageous fee. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna install it myself. So I have an aftermarket stereo in here because back in the day, he didn't get the original stereo and he installed it himself. So that's the deal there. I believe it was 3 weeks after he bought the car, my dad bought the car. It was parked and there was a bar nearby. So a bar fight occurred. One of the bar patrons slammed another bar patron's head into the driver's side door. It's not there, but you can tell this door has been replaced. Anyways, let's get out of here and show you the difference. So here's door slam number 1. So I'm gonna slam the door. Let's go do the other side. Alright, well, I hope that was enough to, to show you the difference. I hope you were able to hear the difference, but there is definitely a huge difference. This door has a much higher pitched twang, and that one sounds more solid. You can definitely tell a difference. And just look at that coast, man. Sheesh. I wonder what it would be like to live in PV right across from this view. A little while later, I believe back in 1995, my dad stopped driving the car and my mother used it to commute to work as a hairstylist every day. And, she absolutely loved it. But despite that, my mother's not a car person, but my father, of course, still maintained it meticulously. And, still worked well. Yeah. And in 2001, anytime between January or April 2001, I forget, I don't know, because in the maintenance records, there shows a change of ownership, and it was anywhere. Yeah, my grandfather bought the car from my dad and owned it then. He meticulously maintains his cars. He drives a 2006 Mini Cooper with like 160,000 miles, and it's only broken down on him once. Now, although that doesn't sound too great, it's pretty impressive for a Mini Cooper, I will say. And, he keeps up with the oil changes, changing the oil. At least in this car, he changed it every 3,000 miles. And that's what my dad did. And whenever something goes wrong on any of his cars, replaced immediately. So, another way you can tell, he used to drive a 1990 something, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Toyotas, so I would not exactly know what year it was, but it was a Toyota pickup truck, and it was in absolutely awful condition. The exterior was, but here's why. He lives in Colorado, so that's his commuter to the airport during the winter, because... Sorry, I had to get past traffic there. But that was his commuter to the airport where he works as an aircraft mechanic. So he would use that during the winter, and, you know, it's a good beater car if you want to haul junk. I know one time we worked on a project in his backyard where we replaced all the rocks in the garden. So that was a fun time. I always liked working with my grandfather. But anyways, that was that. So my uncle bought it for my grandparents. And he's just like everybody else in the family, like me, like my grandfather, like my father. He meticulously maintained it and kept it going. I don't know too much about his ownership of the car, but it definitely was well maintained, and that's that. Okay, so you guys obviously have noticed a change in clothing and possibly a haircut. Well, that's because, hold on a sec, I'm parked so freaking close to this guy. Well, that's because when I went home to edit the video, I noticed that the last bit of footage I took was awfully laggy, so I'm gonna have to redo it. So let's begin where I left off. So my uncle ended up selling this car to his friend. And now one thing is certain is that this friend did not take very good care of this car, but it also wasn't driven too heavily, so it didn't have an effect, well, at least a very large effect on the reliability and condition of the car, so that's good. But back in 2014, my dad got into a motorcycle accident. And this is relevant, I swear. He got into a motorcycle accident. So he stopped driving his motorcycle because my stepmother said, no, you can't be driving a motorcycle, Matt. So he was looking, okay, Mr. Yeah, okay, he's turning left. Alright. I wasn't sure what the hell he was doing. Well, anyways, my stepmother said, no, you can't be... Okay. People don't know how to fucking drive. Jesus Christ. Anyways, she said, no, you can't be driving a motorcycle. And at the time, he was commuting every day to downtown LA from the South Bay. And if any of you have ever driven in rush hour traffic like that, you know, it's kind of grueling, and that's the reason he was driving a motor or riding a motorcycle. Well, the only other car that he had available to use was a gigantic Ford E350, and there are a couple of inherent issues with driving that to downtown LA every day. One, it's terrible on fuel economy. Two, it's too packed. You can't really easily drive a gigantic van in downtown LA. It's kind of dangerous, in my opinion. Just driving a large car in general, not dangerous, but tough is more what I should be saying. And the third reason is, at his work, I worked in the Beaudry building for LUSD, and parking structure, he wouldn't really be able to easily park that car. So he's kind of in a rut, and he started looking for another car, something small, something fun, something fuel efficient. What do you know? my uncle's friend was selling this car. So he gets a hold of my grandparents, and this car actually, it was being sold in Colorado, where my grandparents lived, and where my uncle lives currently. My dad didn't have the time or the money just to leave willy-nilly, and this jackass just decided to back out right in front of me. He didn't have the time or the money to just go to Colorado willy-nilly, so he contacts my grandparents and says, if I gave you the money, will you buy that car for me and store it until I have the time? So they do. And just luckily, this car was being sold for $500. Bargain. Real bargain. And sometime later, he did get the time to take a road trip with my stepmother to go buy the car. Bought it, drove it back, had quite a few issues, unfortunately. Paint was fading, suspension was in awful condition, and the steering rack was practically not even there. So, put a bit of money into it, got a cheap Mako paint job, which does the job, I mean, for the time being. And it was in good running condition again. So, in 2016, he bought a Mustang V6, automatic, because he was commuting to downtown LA every day and was tired of driving a manual in that traffic. I do it every single day and it doesn't bother me, but that was his opinion. But he stopped driving this car and it was just sitting in the driveway. Just paint was fading. I don't know how this car is still working, being just sitting in the driveway for that long. But in about 2015, I started driving the car when he wasn't. I drove it a hell of a lot more frequently than he did. Fucking jackass is hailing me. God. Sorry. I'm road raging today because he was tailing me at 40 miles an hour. So he was gonna try and pass me, but nope, not letting him. Anyways though, whew. So, where was I with this story? Yeah, I don't tolerate people tailing me. He was in a pickup truck, my car's faster. So, I started driving it pretty frequently. I had my own car at the time, so it wasn't my daily driver by any means. But in 2018, around my birthday, he transferred ownership to me. So I sold my car and made this my daily driver. What a good decision, man. That was a really great decision. Couldn't be any happier. And I've been maintaining it ever since, keeping it up. It's been getting fantastic fuel economy. It's been reliable as all hell. So, very happy with this car. But yeah, now it's at $390,000, and that is the story of this car. So, be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So, this has been CRX Weekly, and be sure to stay tuned for other videos. But before I leave, I'm thinking about taking a road trip this summer, and I'm going to document it. Where would you like me to go? I seriously want to know. Please comment and let me know, so I can go someplace that you'd like. But no more than 1,000 miles, please. I mean, despite how reliable this car is, I don't know if I want to take that risk, man. So anyways, I'll see you guys later.